The silver spaceship Stardust drifted through the void between stars aboard this vessel. Laura Bennett worked quietly in the research lab. She was the only human on a mission to study the mysterious Zeltari species. Laura had dark brown hair that she kept tied back and brown eyes that missed the blue skies of Earth. She had been selected for this mission because of her expertise in alien biology. The Zeltari had contacted Earth 5 years ago. Their species was known for their advanced technology and unique appearance. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with skin that shifted colors based on their emotions. They had forearms and large eyes that could see spectrums of light invisible to humans. Their civilization was ruled by a matriarchal system where the queen held all power. Laura looked through her microscope at the Zeltari cell sample. She had been studying their biology for months now, trying to understand how their bodies worked so differently from humans. The door to her lab slid open with a soft hiss. Queen Vala entered the room. Her skin currently glowed a soft blue, indicating curiosity. Queen Vala was the youngest ruler in Zeltari history at only 100 years old. She had taken a special interest in humans, especially Laura. The queen moved with grace, her 4 arms perfectly balanced as she approached the lab table. Laura stood and bowed slightly, a sign of respect she had learned was important to the Zeltari. The queen waved one of her hands dismissively. "You need not stand on ceremony when we are alone," Laura the queen said. Her voice had a musical quality to it. The translator device on Laura's wrist converted the complex Zeltari language into English. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Laura replied. "What brings you to my lab today? I wish to see your progress." The queen leaned over the microscope, her skin shifting to a deeper blue, showing increased curiosity. "Your species fascinates me as much as mine seems to fascinate you." Laura smiled. The Zeltari and humans were so different, yet the queen seemed to genuinely enjoy their conversations. They had spent many hours discussing the differences between their worlds, their cultures, their biology. "Your cellular structure is remarkable," Laura explained. "Its ability to regenerate and adapt is unlike anything we have on Earth." The queen nodded one of her human gestures she had adopted. "I have a proposal for you, Laura Bennett. Would you be willing to participate in a more direct cultural exchange?" "What kind of exchange?" Laura asked. "The Zeltari Harvest Festival begins tomorrow. It is our most sacred event. It celebrates life and the continuation of our species. I would like you to join me as my personal guest. No human has ever attended." Laura felt a surge of excitement. This was exactly the kind of opportunity she had hoped for when she accepted this mission. A chance to truly understand an alien culture from the inside. "I would be honored," Laura said. The queen's skin rippled with a golden hue, showing pleasure. "Excellent. The festivities begin at the rising of our second moon, where the ceremonial robes I will have sent to your quarters." The next evening, Laura dressed in the robes that had been delivered to her. They were made of a fabric that seemed to flow like water, shimmering with colors that responded to her touch. The garment wrapped around her body in a complex pattern, leaving her shoulders bare. It was beautiful but strange, like everything on the Zeltari ship. A Zeltari attendant arrived to escort her to the festival chamber. Laura followed, feeling both nervous and excited. She had studied the festival customs, but reading about a ceremony and participating in one were very different things. The festival chamber was enormous, with ceilings that stretched upward for at least 50 feet. The walls glowed with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in rhythm with the soft music being played on strange, curved instruments. The room was filled with hundreds of Zeltari, their skin showing various colors of excitement and celebration. Queen Vala waited on a raised platform. Her ceremonial robes were similar to Laura's, but much more elaborate, with jewels that caught the light. The queen gestured for Laura to join her. "You look appropriate in our garments," the queen said as Laura approached. "The ceremony will begin soon. You will stand beside me." Laura nodded, feeling the eyes of many Zeltari upon her. She was clearly an object of curiosity to them, just as they were to her. The music changed, becoming more intense. The crowd of Zeltari moved back, creating an open circle in the center of the room. The queen stepped down from her platform and motioned for Laura to follow her. "This is the dance of life," the queen explained. "It celebrates our connection to the universe and our ability to create new life." The queen held out one of her hands. "This year you will join me in the dance." Laura hesitated. She had not expected to participate so directly, but refusing would be a terrible insult. She placed her hand in the queen's much larger one. The queen led her to the center of the circle. The music grew louder. The queen's skin began to glow with a deep purple color Laura had never seen before. The other Zeltari watching made soft clicking sounds that Laura's translator did not convert. The dance began slowly. The queen guided Laura through the movements, which were unlike any human dance arms, weaving patterns in the air. Bodies moving in circular motions that seemed to mimic the orbits of planets. Laura did her best to follow the queen's lead. As the music intensified, so did the dance. Laura found herself being lifted and spun by the queen's 4 strong arms. Their bodies moved closer together. At certain moments, the queen's skin would brush against Laura's bare shoulders, leaving a tingling sensation. The dance continued for what felt like hours, but might have been minutes. Time seemed to lose meaning in the swirl of movement and music. Finally, the music reached a crescendo, and then stopped abruptly. The queen held Laura in a final pose, their faces inches apart. The queen's skin now glowed with an intense red Laura had never seen. The crowd of watching Zeltari erupted in sounds of approval. The queen slowly released Laura and turned to address her people. "The bond is formed." The queen announced, "The future is secured." Laura didn't understand what that meant, but the Zeltari seemed pleased. The queen turned back to her skin, fading to a more normal blue. "You have done well. Laura Bennett," the queen said, "you have honored our traditions." Laura was escorted back to her quarters, feeling exhausted but exhilarated. She had experienced something few humans ever would. She recorded her observations in her journal, noting every detail she could remember of the ceremony. For the next week, Laura continued her research. The queen visited her lab more frequently than before, sometimes just watching her work without speaking. Other times asking detailed questions about Earth and human reproduction methods. Laura found these questions odd but assumed they were part of the cultural exchange. Then one morning, Laura woke feeling strange. Her body felt heavy, and there was a weird fluttering sensation in her abdomen. The ship's medical scanner showed something impossible. Laura stared at the results in disbelief. There was something growing inside her, something that was neither fully human nor fully Zeltari. With shaking hands, Laura sent a message requesting an urgent meeting with the queen within an hour. Queen Vala arrived at Laura's quarters. Her skin was a calm green color. "You wish to see me, Laura Bennett?" "Yes." Laura struggled to find the words. "How do I explain this? The medical scanner shows I'm pregnant, but that's impossible." The queen's skin shifted to gold, showing pleasure. "It is not impossible. It is the result of our dance." The bonding was successful. Laura felt her heart race. "What do you mean, bonding? I don't understand." "The festival of life is our mating ceremony." The queen explained, her tone matter of fact. "The dance we performed allowed for genetic transfer. It is how the Zeltari ensure strong bloodlines. You carry the next royal heir." A great honor. Laura sat down hard on her bed, trying to process this information. "But we're different species. This shouldn't be possible." The queen moved closer. "Our species are compatible in ways your science has not yet discovered. The child will be unique. The first human Zeltari hybrid, a bridge between our worlds. But you never asked me," Laura said, her voice rising. "You never told me what the dance really meant." The queen's skin darkened slightly. "I assumed you understood. You are a scientist studying our people. Did you not research our mating customs?" Laura had researched Zeltari reproduction, but the information in the database had been vague, mentioning only ceremonial bonding. Nothing about interspecies pregnancy. "This can't be happening," Laura whispered. The Queen placed one of her hands on Laura's shoulder. You should feel honored. No human has ever carried a Zeltari royal child. This will make you revered among my people, and your child will one day rule our empire. Laura looked up at the alien queen, the reality of her situation sinking in. She was pregnant with an alien baby. A royal, ere she was now tied to the Zeltari forever, and Earth was light years away. 5 years had passed since Princess Susan's first visit to Earth. The hybrid princess was now 8 years old by Earth, reckoning though she looked closer to 12. Her accelerated growth had finally begun to stabilize, according to both Dr. Foster and Nara, who continued to monitor her development. She was tall for a human child but small for a Zeltari. Her color-changing skin had become more controlled. She could now maintain a chosen color regardless of her emotions, a skill that pure Zeltari children typically mastered much later. Laura had agreed to have another child with Queen Vala, this time through a fully informed ceremonial bonding. The second pregnancy had been easier, knowing what to expect. Prince Eli, as they named him, was now 3 years old. He had more pronounced Zeltari features than Susan, including vestigial secondary arms that had developed as small appendages beneath his primary human-like arms. His skin changed colors more vividly than his sister's, showing his emotions plainly. The royal family divided their time between the Zeltari homeworld Earth and diplomatic missions to other planets. The Human-Zeltari alliance had opened doors throughout the galaxy. Other species were fascinated by the hybrid royal children. The concept of intentional genetic bonding between different sentient species was revolutionary. Today they were preparing for an unprecedented event: Susan's formal introduction to the Galactic Council, a federation of 12 spacefaring civilizations that governed interstellar relations. The Zeltari had been members for centuries. Humans were still petitioning for full membership, but Susan, as both human and Zeltari, would be the first hybrid entity ever presented to the council. Laura helped Susan dress in her ceremonial robes. The girl was nervous, her skin flickering between anxiety blue and determination green, despite her attempts to control it. What if they reject me, Mother? Susan asked as Laura arranged her hair in the complex style that honored both human and Zeltari traditions. They won't, Laura assured her. The council has already accepted you in principle. They're just formalizing it today. But I've heard some delegates believe mixing species is unnatural. Susan's voice was quiet. The Morgathi representative said hybrids dilute the purity of evolution. Laura turned her daughter to face her, cupping her color-shifting face in her hands. There will always be those who fear what's different or new. But you are living proof that differences can create something beautiful, something strong. You carry the best of both worlds, Susan. Never forget that. Susan nodded, her skin finally settling into confidence. Gold, I won't disappoint you, or Royal Mother Queen Vala entered, with young Eli. The queen wore her most formal attire, her forearms adorned with the ancient symbols of Zeltari royalty. Eli mimicked his royal mother's posture, though his secondary arms weren't yet strong enough to hold ceremonial objects. The time approaches, the queen announced. Her skin was steady royal purple, showing no anxiety, though Laura had learned to read the subtle flickers around her eyes that betrayed her true feelings. The queen was as nervous as Susan. The royal barge transported them to the Galactic Council's massive station. It hung in neutral space at the junction of several major trade routes. The structure was enormous, a marvel of cooperative engineering with sections built by each member species. Their arrival was met with elaborate ceremony. Representatives from all 12 council species lined the docking bay. Each delegation performed their traditional greeting. Susan and Eli responded with the hybrid gestures they had been practicing for months. Laura felt a surge of pride watching her children navigate this complex diplomatic situation with such poise. The formal presentation took place in the Grand Chamber, a vast circular room with seating arranged by species. The Zeltari section was positioned between the Morgathi crystalline structures, and the floating platforms used by the gaseous Etheri. Queen Vala led her family to the center of the chamber, Susan walking perfectly at her right hand, Eli at her left, Laura slightly behind a formation they had carefully choreographed to represent both human and Zeltari tradition. The council overseer, a towering four-eyed Jixari, spoke first. We gather to witness an unprecedented presentation. The first royal hybrid heir, born of two council species, Princess Susan of Zeltari and Earth approach. Susan stepped forward alone. Her skin, a perfect royal purple, matched exactly to her Zeltari mother's formal color. She performed the universal greeting taught to all species, then spoke in the formal council. Language, a difficult tongue that even Laura had not fully mastered. I come before you as daughter of two worlds. Susan's voice was clear and strong, neither fully human nor fully Zeltari, but a new path forged between stars. I offer myself as living, proof that diversity brings strength, that differences can unite rather than divide. I respectfully request recognition as a sovereign entity, bearing the heritage of multiple council members. The chamber was silent. Then the Morgothi representative rose. The crystalline being glittered under the chamber lights, casting rainbow reflections across the floor. The Morgothi collective questions this unprecedented claim. It set its voice a series of musical tones. Genetic purity has been the foundation of council membership since its formation, each species evolving along its natural path. Artificial hybridization threatens the cosmic order. Queen Vala's skin darkened slightly, but she remained silent as protocol demanded. This was Susan's moment. The girl had been prepared for challenges. Susan turned to face the Morgothi representative, her posture respectful but unbowed, respected collective. I understand your concern, but I would suggest that cosmic order is not static. Evolution itself is a response to change, to challenge. The joining of different genetic paths is not unknown in nature. Many species, including the honored Morgothi, have evolved through symbiotic relationships with other life forms. I stand before you, not as a disruption of cosmic order, but as its continuation. The universe tends toward complexity, toward connection. I am simply one expression of that universal principle. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Laura's translator couldn't catch all the various languages being spoken simultaneously, but the tone seemed approving. The human delegation looked openly proud. The Etheri representative floated forward, its gaseous form swirling with blue and green particles. The child speaks wisdom beyond her years, it said. The council was formed to bridge differences between evolved sentience. Should we reject one who bridges these differences within herself? We Etheri were once two separate gaseous species who chose to merge our evolutionary paths. The hybrid princess is not without precedent. Debate continued for nearly an hour. Susan remained standing in the center of the chamber, her posture perfect, her responses measured and thoughtful. Beyond her years, Laura marveled at her daughter's composure. She showed the best of both her heritages, human empathy and creativity combined with Zeltari discipline and precision. Finally, the council overseer called for a vote. The result was not unanimous, but it was definitive. 10 of the 12 species voted to formally recognize Susan's unique status. The Morgothi abstained. The reclusive Drovak voted against without explanation. Princess Susan of Zeltari and Earth. The overseer announced, "You are recognized as the first formally acknowledged sovereign hybrid entity. In council history, may your existence open new paths of understanding between all sentient beings." Laura felt tears in her eyes. Queen Vala's skin rippled with barely contained gold joy. Eli bounced excitedly, his small secondary arms waving. Susan herself maintained perfect royal composure until the family returned to their private chamber. Then she collapsed into Laura's arms, her skin flashing through a rainbow of emotions. "I did it, Mother," she whispered. "I really did it." "You were magnificent," Laura said, hugging her tightly. "I've never been more proud." Even the Queen dropped her formal demeanor, kneeling to embrace Susan with all four arms, her skin glowing golden. "You have made history this day," the Queen said. "Your name will be remembered for generations." The family returned to the Zeltari royal vessel that evening. There would be formal celebrations on both Earth and Zeltari Prime in the coming weeks. The human media was already calling it the dawn of the hybrid age. Speculation about the future implications of Susan's recognition dominated discussion panels across Earth. That night after the children were asleep, Laura found Vala in their shared quarters. The Queen was reviewing diplomatic communications on a floating screen, her skin a thoughtful blue. "You're troubled," Laura said, sitting beside her. The Queen dismissed the screen, turning to face Laura. They recognized Susan, but the debate revealed deeper concerns. Some species fear what her existence represents. Change evolution, beyond their control. Laura nodded. The old fear of the unknown, change is difficult. Vala admitted. The Zeltari resisted contact with humans for decades before I took the throne. Many of my advisors still question our alliance. Even after seeing our beautiful children, Laura took one of the Queen's hands. Our children are just the beginning, aren't they? She's opened a door that can't be closed. The Queen's skin shifted to the teal gold color that Laura had come to recognize as her expression of deep emotional connection. Yes. The genetic bonding technology can be adapted for other compatible species. Medical applications alone could transform galactic medicine, hybrid diplomatic corps with natural understanding of multiple cultures. New, artistic expressions combining different sensory experiences. The possibilities are endless. Laura spent the next few days in a daze. She alternated between shock, anger, and fear. Her pregnancy was unlike anything documented in human medicine. The Queen had assigned a Zeltari physician named Nara to monitor her condition. Nara had studied human biology, but had never treated a human patient before. The hybrid grows well, Nara said during one examination. Her skin was a professional shade of teal as she studied the scanner results. The development is accelerated compared to human gestation. How accelerated, Laura asked. She still struggled to believe this was really happening. Full term will be approximately 4 of your Earth months. Nara replied. 4 months. Laura gasped. Human pregnancies last 9 months. Zeltari pregnancies last 2 of your months, Nara explained. The hybrid seems to be developing at a pace between our species. Laura placed her hand on her stomach, which was already showing a slight curve. What will it look like? Will it be more human or more Zeltari? Nara tilted her head. We cannot know for certain. This is unprecedented, but the scans show a combination of features. 4 limbs like a human, but with partial color-changing skin capabilities. The brain development appears to follow Zeltari patterns, but with human emotional centers. Queen Vala visited Laura daily, bringing rare foods that she claimed would help the baby develop properly. The Queen seemed genuinely excited about the pregnancy. Her skin often glowed the golden color of pleasure when she placed her hand on Laura's growing belly. You must send a message to your Earth government, Laura. The Queen said one evening. They should be informed of this historic development. Laura had been avoiding this. She knew how Earth would react. The political implications alone were enormous. A human carrying an alien royal heir. It would cause panic, confusion, diplomatic chaos. They will want me to return to Earth, Laura said. The Queen's skin darkened to a stormy gray. That cannot happen. The child is Zeltari royalty. It must be born here, raised here. But I'm human, Laura protested. I'm a citizen of Earth, I have rights. You also have responsibilities to your child, the Queen countered. And to the advancement of relations between our species. This child will be a bridge between worlds, a symbol of unity. Laura knew there was truth in the Queen's words, but she also felt manipulated, trapped. She had never consented to becoming a royal surrogate. When she finally sent the message to Earth, the response was immediate. And, exactly as she expected, Admiral Susan Porter appeared on the video screen, her expression grave. Laura, what have you done? She demanded. I didn't know. Admiral Laura tried to explain. The dance was part of their mating ceremony. I wasn't informed. The Admiral sighed heavily, rubbing her forehead. The Joint Space Command is in an uproar. The politicians are divided. Some see this as a diplomatic opportunity. Others see it as an alien abduction and forced impregnation. We have no precedent for this situation. What are my options? Laura asked quietly. The Admiral looked uncomfortable. Limited. I'm afraid the Zeltari ship is in their territory. We have no jurisdiction there. The Queen has formally declared the child a royal heir, which gives it diplomatic protection under the Interstellar Treaty. However, we've demanded that you be allowed to return to Earth after the birth, if you choose. Laura felt a surge of relief. At least she wasn't trapped forever. But the thought of leaving her child behind, even one that was half alien, filled her with unexpected sadness. A week later, a human diplomatic vessel arrived. It carried Dr. Alan Foster, a specialist in xenobiology, and Olivia Grant, an ambassador with experience in interspecies negotiation. Laura was relieved. To see human faces, Dr. Foster examined her with equipment brought from Earth. His findings matched Nara's. The pregnancy was progressing rapidly, and the fetus showed a unique blend of human and Zeltari traits. Ambassador Grant spent most of her time in tense negotiations with the Queen and her advisors. Laura was not included in these discussions, which frustrated her. This was her body, her child, yet decisions were being made without her input. 2 months into her pregnancy, Laura felt the baby move for the first time. It was a strange, fluttering sensation unlike anything she had ever experienced. She was sitting in her lab when it happened. Her hand flew to her now prominent belly. Nara, who was monitoring her, noticed the gesture. "The child moves?" she asked. "Yes," Laura whispered. "It feels so real now." Nara's skin shifted to a soft pink, a color Laura had never seen on her before. "It means the neural pathways are developing. The child is becoming aware." That evening, Queen Vala visited as usual. Laura decided it was time to address her own future. "What happens after the birth?" she asked directly. The Queen seemed surprised by the question. "You will be honored as the bearer of royal blood. You will have a permanent place in the court. The child will be raised with knowledge of both heritages. And if I want to return to Earth," the Queen's skin darkened. "That would not be advisable. The child will need its human parent to understand that side of its nature." Laura stood up, facing the Queen directly. "I did not choose this. You never gave me a choice. I want to be involved in my child's life, but I also have a right to my own life." The Queen's 4 hands clenched slightly. "You speak as though this is a burden. Is creating new life not the greatest achievement possible?" "For many it is when they choose it," Laura said. "But this was decided for me." The Queen's skin shifted through several colors as she processed Laura's words. "You truly did not understand the meaning of the dance," she said finally. "No, I didn't. I believed." The Queen paused. "Our researchers studied human reproduction customs. They reported that humans often conceive children without formal agreements. I assumed the acceptance of the dance was consent." Laura almost laughed at the cultural misunderstanding. "If only it were that simple. I need guarantees," she said. "I want formal recognition of my rights as a parent. I want freedom to travel between our worlds. I want input on how our child is raised." The Queen was silent for a long moment. "I will consider your requests." The next day, Ambassador Grant brought news. The negotiations had produced results. "The Queen has agreed to most of your terms." "Laura," she said, "you will be named royal consort with diplomatic status. You will be permitted to travel to Earth for visits after the child turns 1 year old. The child will receive education about both cultures. It's better than I expected." Laura admitted. Grant nodded. "The Queen seems genuinely concerned about your happiness, which is fortunate. For a while we feared this could turn into an interstellar incident." As her pregnancy advanced, Laura found herself developing unexpected feelings toward the Queen. Vala visited daily, often staying for hours. They talked about their respective worlds, their childhoods, their hopes for the baby. The Queen was not the cold manipulator Laura had initially believed. She was a ruler burdened with responsibility to her people. Seeing the pregnancy as a miracle that could benefit both species, Laura also began to feel connected to the child growing inside her. Despite the unusual circumstances, she found herself talking to her belly, placing her hand over the movements, imagining what her half-human, half-Zeltari child would be like. Dr. Foster continued to monitor the pregnancy alongside Nara. The two doctors developed a professional relationship, exchanging knowledge about their respective species' biology. Their cooperation became a small model of human-Zeltari collaboration by the beginning of the 4th month. Laura could no longer work in the lab. Her belly had grown enormous. The baby was active, often moving in ways that seemed to have more than the normal number of limbs. The scans showed a healthy fetus, with features of both species. One night, Laura woke to a sharp pain. Her bed was wet. She called for help immediately. Nara responded first, followed by Dr. Foster. "The birth has begun," Nara announced, her skin turning a deep professional blue. "It's too early," Laura gasped, clutching her belly. "For a Zeltari hybrid," Dr. Foster explained as he prepared his equipment. "The scans show the baby is fully developed." Queen Vala arrived moments later, her skin shifting rapidly between colors, showing her excitement and concern. "Bring her to the royal birthing chamber," the queen commanded. Laura was transferred to a special room with equipment for both human and Zeltari births. The pain was intense, coming in waves that made her cry out. Dr. Foster administered pain medication, but it only partially helped the Zeltari physiology of the baby, made human medications less effective. "You must breathe in patterns," Nara instructed, demonstrating a rhythm with her 4 hands. Laura tried to follow, gasping through the contractions. The queen stayed by her side, one hand holding Laura's, while her other 3 hands performed what appeared to be a ritual gesture. "Our child comes to join our worlds," Queen Vala said, her voice formal, yet her skin showed a new color, a deep violet that Laura had never seen before. The birth lasted 6 hours. The final moments were a blur of pain and pushing. Finally, Laura heard a cry, unlike any human baby, but still recognizably the sound of new life. "It is female," Dr. Foster announced as he examined the newborn, a princess. Queen Vala said, her skin glowing golden with joy. Laura collapsed back, exhausted but desperate to see her child. Nara cleaned the baby, then placed her in Laura's arms. The baby was beautiful and strange. Her skin shifted colors like a Zeltari, but she had only 2 arms like a human. Her eyes were larger than human eyes but smaller than Zeltari, with pupils that adjusted to the light in fascinating patterns. Her tiny body was perfectly proportioned, just slightly larger than a human newborn. "Has your features," Queen Vala said, touching the baby's cheek gently. "But her eyes are shaped like yours, Laura." 10 years had passed since Susan's recognition by the Galactic Council. The hybrid princess was now 18 by Earth. Reckoning she had grown into her role as ambassador between worlds with grace and determination. She stood nearly 6 feet tall, her frame elegant and strong. Her skin could shift through colors with perfect control, or remain a chosen shade for days. She wore her dark hair in complex braids that honored both her human and Zeltari heritage. Prince Eli at 13 was already showing signs of remarkable abilities. His secondary arms had developed fully, giving him 4 limbs like his Zeltari mother. But unlike pure Zeltari, his neural connections allowed him unprecedented control. He could perform different tasks with each arm simultaneously, a skill even adult Zeltari couldn't master. His mind processed information at an astonishing rate, absorbing languages, sciences, and arts with ease. Laura and Queen Vala had added a 3rd child to their family, 7-year-old Princess Maya, who showed the most unusual hybrid traits yet. Her skin could not only change color, but also texture, becoming rough, like Zeltari armor, or smooth like human skin as needed. She had developed a form of touch telepathy, allowing her to share emotions and basic thoughts with both species, something neither humans nor Zeltari could naturally do. Dr. Foster's predictions had proven accurate. The hybrid children were evolving, becoming something new. Their genetic structure continued to adapt, creating novel solutions to the challenge of combining 2 different species. The scientific community across 12 worlds studied them, publishing papers and developing theories about hybrid potential. The Zeltari-Human alliance had transformed galactic politics. In the decades since Susan's presentation to the Council, 5 other species had developed their own hybridization programs. Though none had yet achieved the success of the royal children, the Morgathi remained opposed but had softened. their stance as the benefits of genetic exchange became apparent. The medical advances alone had saved millions of lives across multiple worlds. Today was perhaps the most significant day since Susan's recognition ceremony. The princess had reached the age of ascension. Under Zeltari tradition, she would formally accept her role as heir to the throne. Under human tradition, she would declare her adult independence, choosing her own path forward. The two ceremonies had been combined into a new, hybrid ritual that would be broadcast across Earth and Zeltari Prime, as well as to interested parties throughout Council space. Laura helped Susan prepare in her private chambers. The ceremonial robes combined elements from both worlds. Flowing Zeltari, fabric that responded to Susan's skin colors paired with structured human elements that symbolized strength and permanence. "Are you nervous?" Laura asked as she adjusted the final elements of her daughter's attire. Susan's skin flickered briefly with blue anxiety before settling back to confident gold. "A little," she admitted. "Today changes everything." Laura smiled. "You've been changing everything since before you were born." Susan laughed a sound that still carried the musical tones of her Zeltari. "Heritage, I suppose, that's true." She grew serious, "But after today I must choose, Mother. The council, the scientists, the diplomats. They all want me to be something specific, to represent their interests, to validate their theories." Laura took her daughter's hands. "Remember what I've always told you. You belong to both worlds, but your path is your own. Your father and I." Susan smiled at Laura's use of father, a term the Queen had gradually accepted over the years as their relationship evolved beyond. "Its formal beginnings, you and Royal Mother have always supported my choices," Susan said. "But the expectations, the hopes of two entire species, that's a heavy burden." "It is," Laura agreed. "But you've never been alone in carrying it. You have your brother, your sister, your family, a growing community of hybrids, and today you'll formally declare your own vision, not just what others expect of you." Susan embraced her mother, her skin glowing with the teal gold color she had inherited from the Queen. "The color of family love, I'm ready," she said. The ceremony took place in the Grand Plaza of the newly constructed hybrid embassy, a massive structure that served as neutral territory between Earth and Zeltari diplomatic zones. The building itself was a marvel of combined architecture, with living Zeltari biomaterials forming seamless connections with human engineering. The result was both beautiful and symbolic, a physical manifestation of what Susan herself represented. Thousands of spectators from both worlds filled the plaza. Millions more watched via broadcast. Queen Vala stood on the ceremonial platform, her forearms holding the ancient symbols of Zeltari authority. Laura stood beside her, representing Earth. Eli and Maya flanked them, their positions carefully chosen to honor both traditions. Susan approached alone, walking the ceremonial path. Her skin shifted through a choreographed sequence of colors, telling the story of her heritage. The crowd was silent, watching in awe. When she reached the platform, she knelt before her parents. Queen Vala spoke first, her voice carrying across the plaza. "Princess Susan, first of the new path, bearer of two bloodlines. Do you accept the responsibilities of your royal heritage? Do you pledge to serve the people of Zeltari as heir to the ancient throne?" "I accept and pledge," Susan responded, her voice steady. The traditional words flowed naturally. Laura then spoke, using the newly created human portion of the ceremony. "Susan Bennett, daughter of Earth, Bridger of Worlds. Do you claim the human right of self-determination, the freedom to choose your own path forward while honoring your responsibilities to humanity?" "I claim and honor," Susan replied. Then came the new part of the ceremony, the EAD hybrid declaration that Susan herself had written. Queen Vala and Laura together placed a circlet upon Susan's head. It was neither a human crown nor a Zeltari royal band, but something new, a living metal created through combined technologies that responded to Susan's unique biology. Susan rose to her full height, addressing the gathered crowd, her skin now glowing with a new color, a vibrant purple gold that no one had seen before. "I stand before you as daughter of two worlds," she began, her voice carrying effortlessly child of stars and possibility. I accept my heritage both royal and human, but I also claim my unique identity. Neither simply Zeltari nor simply human, but something new, something evolving. I pledge myself not only to my parent, worlds, but to the path between them, to the space where differences meet and create something greater than either alone. The crowd was silent, hanging on her every word. For 10 years, I have studied both my heritages. Susan continued, and I have learned that the greatest strength comes not from choosing one path over another, but from forging connections between paths. Today, I declare my intention to establish the first hybrid academy, a place where the children of different worlds can come together, learn from each other, discover what they might become together. Murmurs spread through the crowd. The proposal was bold, unexpected. This academy will welcome students from all council species. Susan said not just human and Zeltari, but any who wish to explore the potential of diversity. It will be a center for scientific discovery, cultural exchange, and evolutionary possibility. A place where we ask, not what separates us, but what might unite us. Queen Vala's skin showed royal approval, though. Laura knew this announcement had surprised her as much as everyone else. Their daughter had kept her plans secret, wanting her declaration to be truly her own. The hybrid academy will be constructed in neutral space. Susan continued, with the permission of the council. It will serve as both educational institution and diplomatic neutral ground, where the children of former enemies might study side by side, where new hybrid technologies can be developed for the benefit of all worlds, where art and culture can blend in new expressions. She paused, looking out over the crowd, her gaze finding the representatives from each council species, even the crystalline Morgathi who had finally sent a delegation. We stand at the beginning of a new age. Susan's voice grew stronger. The age of connection, of possibility. The universe has evolved through diversity, through adaptation, through change. We are simply following its example, finding new ways to thrive together. I invite all worlds, all species to join in this exploration, not to lose what makes them unique, but to discover what they might become when their uniqueness meets others. The crowd erupted in applause, human and Zeltari voices joining together. Laura felt tears in her eyes. Queen Vala's skin glowed with unmistakable pride. Eli and Maya watched their sister with admiration. The formal reception afterward was filled with excitement, diplomats from 12 worlds discussing Susan's proposal. The human delegation had been caught off guard, but quickly embraced the concept. The Zeltari nobles were more reserved, but the Queen's approval carried significant weight. That evening, the royal family gathered in their private quarters. The formal ceremony complete, they could simply be a family again. Susan had changed from her ceremonial robes into comfortable clothes, her skin now a relaxed blue-green. You surprised us all, Laura said as they shared a meal that combined foods from both worlds. I wanted my declaration to be truly mine, Susan replied, not what was expected. The Queen considered her daughter, her forearms arranged in thoughtful posture. An academy in neutral space, that is a significant diplomatic undertaking. 3 years passed aboard the Zeltari royal vessel. Princess Susan grew at an astonishing rate. Her development was accelerated compared to human children, but slower than pure Zeltari young. At 3, she looked like a 5-year-old human child, but with the distinctive Zeltari features. Her skin changed colors with her emotions, though the shifts were more subtle than full-blooded Zeltari. She had her mother's dark hair, but it grew in unusual patterns, framing her face like a living crown. Laura had adapted to her new role as royal consort. She divided her time between caring for Susan, continuing her research, and learning Zeltari royal protocols. The Queen had kept her word. Laura was treated with respect, given authority over Susan's human education, and allowed regular communication with Earth. Susan was a bright, curious child. She spoke both English and the clicking Zeltari language with equal fluency. She moved with the grace of the Zeltari, but showed human expressions and emotions. She called Laura Mother and Queen Vala Royal Mother, an honorific that the Queen's advisors had created specially. Today was an important day. The Zeltari vessel was approaching Earth for the first official visit. This would be the first time many humans would see Princess Susan. She was the living embodiment of the alliance between the species, and her reception would be carefully watched by both governments. Laura helped Susan dress in a special outfit designed to showcase both her heritages. The fabric changed colors subtly like Zeltari royal garments, but the style was a modified human child's formal dress. Susan's skin flickered between blue nervousness and yellow excitement. "Are the humans going to like me?" Mother Susan asked, as Laura brushed her hair. "Of course they will," Laura assured her. "You're special, Susan. You belong to both worlds. What if they think I'm strange?" Susan's skin darkened with worry. Laura knelt before her daughter, looking into her large, expressive eyes. "Everyone is a little strange in their own way. And you are wonderfully unique. Remember what Royal Mother always says." Susan straightened her posture. "I am the bridge between stars. The future of two peoples." Laura smiled. "That's right. Now let's practice your greeting one more time." Susan performed the complex human Zeltari hybrid greeting they had developed, a small bow, followed by the traditional Zeltari antenna touch, mimicked with her hands, since she lacked actual antennae. "Perfect," Laura said. Queen Vala entered the room. Her impressive height and forearms adorned with ceremonial jewelry made her an imposing figure, but her skin glowed the soft gold she reserved for Susan, and increasingly for Laura as well. "The Earth delegation awaits us," the Queen announced. She knelt down to Susan's level. "Are you prepared, young princess?" Susan nodded, her skin settling into a determined green color. "I will make both my mothers proud." The royal family walked together to the ship's main airlock, where they would transfer to the human diplomatic vessel. Earth's governments had prepared an elaborate welcome ceremony. Susan walked between her two mothers, her back straight, her steps carefully measured as she'd been taught. Admiral Porter greeted them at the airlock. She had been promoted to head of human Zeltari relations. Her eyes widened slightly at the sight of Susan, but she maintained her professional demeanor. "Welcome to Earth, Queen Vala, royal consort, Laura." Her gaze softened when it fell on Susan. "And welcome, Princess Susan. We are honored by your first visit to your human homeworld." Susan performed her greeting flawlessly. The humans in the reception party watched with fascination. Laura felt a surge of pride. The diplomatic vessel docked at the international space platform where world leaders waited. Earth had never hosted an alien royal before. The security arrangements had been months in planning. The media coverage was unprecedented as they prepared to disembark. Laura knelt beside Susan one last time. "Remember, these people have never seen anyone like you before. They might stare or ask strange questions. Just be yourself. Your wonderful self." Susan nodded, her skin rippling with determination. The next hours were a blur of introductions, speeches, and carefully orchestrated photo opportunities. Susan handled it all with remarkable poise. She answered questions politely, switching between languages effortlessly. She demonstrated her color-changing skin when asked, showing how it reflected her emotions. The human media was entranced. The first human alien child was an immediate sensation. Later that evening, in their assigned quarters at the diplomatic compound, Laura helped Susan prepare for bed. The child was exhausted, her skin a tired gray. "Did I do well?" Mother Susan asked as Laura tucked her in. "You were amazing." Laura kissed her forehead. "Tomorrow we'll visit the place where I grew up. Would you like that?" Susan nodded sleepily. Her skin briefly flashed happy yellow before settling into the deep blue of sleep. Laura found Queen Vala on the balcony staring up at the night sky. The Queen rarely admitted it, but Earth's varied environments fascinated her. After years on the sterile royal vessel, the natural world of Laura's home planet was both strange and compelling. "The humans are captivated by her," the Queen said without turning around. "The public response exceeds our projections." Laura joined her at the railing. "The political outcomes look promising too. The trade agreements should be finalized by the end of the week." The Queen was silent for a moment. Then her skin shifted to a deep purple, a color reserved for serious matters. I have been thinking about your request. Laura's heart beat faster. She had asked for permission to bring Susan to Earth for extended visits, to let her daughter experience her human heritage more fully. The Queen had been resistant, fearing Earth's influence would weaken Susan's connection to her Zeltari heritage. I will allow it, the Queen said, finally, but only if I may accompany you both. There is much about human culture I still do not understand. If our daughter is to be influenced by this world, I must comprehend it as well. Laura was stunned. The Queen had never expressed interest in spending time on Earth before the royal court would be scandalized by their monarch living temporarily on an alien planet. You sure your advisors will adapt? The Queen said, her tone final. Our daughter needs both worlds. As her mothers, we must provide them. Laura impulsively reached out and took one of the Queen's hands. Thank you, Vala. The Queen's skin rippled with gold. She had only recently allowed Laura to use her personal name without her title, and only in private. These small intimacies had been developing between them gradually over the years, a partnership born of necessity that had grown into something neither had anticipated. The next morning, they took Susan to Laura's childhood home in the countryside. Her parents still lived there. Though they had met their granddaughter via video communications, this was their first in-person meeting. Laura's mother cried when she saw Susan. The child approached her human grandmother cautiously, then smiled when she was embraced Queen. Vala watched these interactions with intense interest. Her skin shifting through thoughtful colors, Laura realized the Queen was studying human family dynamics, something Zeltari society structured very differently. They spent the day showing Susan Earth things. The feel of grass beneath bare feet, the taste of ice cream, the sound of birds. Susan was delighted by everything. Her skin constantly flashed, joyful yellows and curious blues. During the afternoon, Susan played with some neighborhood children who had gathered outside the security perimeter, initially shy but eventually running and laughing together. Language and species differences forgotten in the universal games of childhood, she adapts quickly, the Queen observed. Her skin showed a new color Laura had never seen before, a sort of teal blue with gold highlights. She does, Laura agreed. She has your intelligence and adaptability, and your compassion. Vala replied. Those children were afraid of her at first, but she won them over. That is a human skill I have observed in you as well. The diplomatic visit lasted 2 weeks. Each day brought new negotiations, new public appearances and private moments of discovery. Susan became a symbol of possibility to both species, a living demonstration that differences could be bridged. On their final night on Earth, Laura found Queen Vala in the garden. The Queen was examining a flower with intense concentration. What do you think of Earth now? Laura asked. Joining her, it is chaotic, unpredictable, fascinating, the Queen replied. I understand better now why you humans are as you are. Your world shaped you to be adaptable. The Zeltari evolved in more stable conditions. Laura nodded. That makes sense. The Queen turned to face her. I have come to a decision. The Queen's skin shifted to royal purple. I wish to create another hybrid child with you, Laura gasped. You mean, yes. The Queen's 4 hands gestured expressively. Susan should have siblings. The alliance would be strengthened. Another royal child would ensure the continuation of our new joint lineage. But the dance, Laura began, then stopped, realizing the Queen was proposing something more deliberate this time. Not a miscommunication, but a choice. This time you would participate with full, knowledgeful consent, Vala said. Her skin now showed nervous blue tinges. This time it would be our choice. Together. Laura was silent, processing this unexpected proposal. She looked back toward the house where Susan slept, her beautiful, impossible, her daughter. The bridge between worlds. She thought about the past 3 years. The challenges, the discoveries, the growing closeness with Vala. The political benefits were obvious. Another hybrid child would indeed strengthen the alliance. But Laura knew there was more to the Queen's proposal than politics. There was something personal in it, a reaching out, a recognition of what had grown between them.